The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the main streets of Los Angeles, California today. Sitting here at 316 Gimmick Street, watching my famous Pearl Beer neon clock spin around like a rotisserie chicken. You guys that saw the picture I posted on my Twitter account, Steve Austin BSR, saw that clock in the picture sitting on the table between myself and Sam Roberts from Sirius XM Radio and the Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. He was my guest on last Thursday's Unleashed show. He is my guest on today's show, an entirely different conversation altogether. Family-friendly, but a hell of a conversation with Sam the Man Roberts from New York City. You know what, gang, as I record this, I'm about to jump on an airplane to San Antonio, Texas. Tomorrow morning, I will be doing a live interview with Paul E. Heyman right after Monday Night Raw. You can be able to see it live on the WWE Network, and I'll be playing the audio on an upcoming podcast if you don't have the network. Now, here's the thing. By the time you hear this podcast on Tuesday, that interview will have already happened live, but you can go back on the network and watch it. So I'm looking forward to talking to Paul. Paul's been on the podcast several times, and he came out and was doing some business over in North Hollywood, and he had rented a house for about a damn month. Went over and talked to him on several different occasions. And every time I talk to Paul, it's always a damn good time. So I'm looking forward to talking to him on the network, and it's going to be interesting to see what people's expectations are of this interview. People always want to say, oh, Steve, you got to ask the hard questions. Man, I don't really have any hard questions. I always just like to shoot the breeze with people. So it's funny what the expectations are. We'll see how the interview turns out. And like I said, by the time you've heard this podcast, if you watch the WWE Network, you will have seen and heard the podcast. But if you don't have a network, one last time, fret not. You'll be able to hear the audio here at PodcastOne.com and iTunes for free. It's always cool, though, because I get so many requests. Steve, when are you going to take your podcast to video? Want to see what you guys are talking about. So anyway, this thing's live. It's on the network. If you ain't got the network, it's a damn good reason to subscribe. I'll be talking to some very interesting cats in the next few coming months. And my schedule is busy as hell. We're about to go into production on the Broken Skull Challenge here in just a few days. The baddest, toughest, coolest show on television is on Channel 327 on DirecTV, and that's Country Music Television. I've been looking at some of the casting reels that they've been sending me in the email. Some of the cats, some of the guys and gals that are coming out there. And, man, we've got some badass-looking people over there. It just seems like the competition is escalating. It's getting better because of the word on the street, the awareness of the Broken Skull Challenge, and it keeps growing, and the athletes are getting better. So I'm looking forward to getting out there in the desert mountains and filming this thing. And I got a brand-new, badass, bigger camper out there. And this son of a gun has some badass internet speed in it. Last time we were filming, I had so much of headaches, hassles, and horse manure trying to send my show that it was absolutely beyond calamity. I went into the town of Agua Dulce, went to the hardware store, befriended the lady that owned the hardware store, logged on to their Wi-Fi and sent some of my shows. Sometimes I went down to the restaurant there in town, got on their system and downloaded the show to Stacy over at PodcastOne in Beverly Hills. Sometimes I went to a dude that was helping run the show. He had rented a house out there, and I went over to his house to download the show. It was complete and utter jerry-rigging to the absolute highest standard. So hopefully they got my internet lined out so that I never have to leave the Broken Skull compound the entire time we're filming, except when I go home on Fridays. And Hershey the Wonder Dog is looking forward to getting out there. She goes out there with me every single year, and we do our same schedule every single day. Get up early in the morning, go on a little walk, drink our coffee, maybe get half of a workout in, look over my notes, and then boom, we start working. Sun up damn near to sundown. We do that over and over again. Go home on the weekends and go back on Sunday evening, so I ain't got to mess with Monday traffic. All that's coming on here within the next week. And while I'm out there, got to continue the podcast, probably go back to doing a lot of Q&As, if I can do some Skype interviews out there. Whatever I've got to do to deliver 2 cans of audio whoop-ass, that's exactly what I'm going to do, because come rain, sleet, snow, shine, this job, that job, any job, I got to be able to turn in my show to PodcastOne to be able to uphold my commitment, first of all, to PodcastOne.com on a contract level, but to you, the people that I do this podcast for, to download 2 episodes each week for free for your entertainment as you drive to, from, at work, whatever you do. I appreciate the fact that you listen to the show. Yep, like I said, folks, I got Sam Roberts coming up. Sam is a unique individual, and I've been knowing Sam for a couple of years now. Done lots of interviews with him, seen him all over the WWE programming. He's a really smart cat. I've always enjoyed talking to him. It was great of him to come out here. And I played the Unleashed podcast first, which was actually the second interview we did. We're going to play this family-friendly podcast where Sam talks about getting his start in radio and a little bit of his story. And hell, man, Sam has kicked ass. He's doing his show 5 times a week now there at Sirius XM right there in New York City, and does his podcast once a week. And he came out here to try to get some content. And I tell you what, we did that first show, and I said, hey, man, you want to do another one? It's still kind of early. And he didn't say anything about wanting to do his show. So, man, again, y'all heard that can we opened up last Thursday, so we did this one first. And then he hits me with, hey, man, you want to do my show now? And I was like, dude, I wish you'd have said that a long time ago, because we wouldn't have wasted all this time talking about my show. So anyway, it's always good to help a brother out, and I got a lot of respect for Sam and all the WWE superstars when I get a chance to sit down with him. I always enjoy talking to him because he's a long-time, real-deal Holyfield fan who really loves the business. So it was great to have him here at the house. And Sam ended up taking the stairs. After his visit here, he walked down the stairs. I didn't throw his ass through the window, didn't throw his ass down the stairs. He walked under his own power. That's how merciful I was on Sam Roberts. He came up to 316 Gimmick Street with his buddy. We opened up a couple of cans of audio whoop-ass, and the man walked out and probably promptly jumped in a car and hit a KFC or a Popeyes, or went down and got a double cheeseburger at McDonald's. I don't know what they did, but they was here, and it was a good time, and you guys are about to hear that conversation. I'll tell you what. I'm sitting here on this Sunday afternoon, and I keep checking my email, and I keep wondering, man, when are they going to send my itinerary for my flight tomorrow to San Antonio, Texas? And I ain't got it yet. And it's about 3:30 as I record this, so I'd really like to know what time my flight is so I can get up in the morning, get all gussed up, and get on the damn plane. If I miss my flight, that ain't going to be good news, because people are going to be expecting to see me and Paul Heyman talking on the Stone Cold podcast on the WWE Network. So I hope somebody wakes up and smells the coffee and sends a brother an itinerary so I know what flight I'm getting on and when I'm getting there. And here's the thing. I'm going to San Antonio, Texas. I used to live in San Antonio in the outlying area of Bernie, that whole area, for about 15 years. And, man, I love the hill country. I love the city of San Antonio, and the Broken Skull Ranch is only 75 miles away. I'm within striking distance of the BSR, and it's been raining so damn much. Old Ted Fowler, 361, went down there just a few days ago and checked on everything. So what I was going to do was try to get down there to the ranch and make a lap, look at everything, make sure the fences were still there, the houses didn't get washed away, see what was going on. But Ted Fowler was able to go down there and give me a complete report of everything that happened out there. No leaks on the houses. Everything's cool. The water system's cool. All the fences are still up. The place is probably about halfway underwater. Every tank, every water pond on the place is fuller than it's ever been before. Parts of that ranch are holding water that have never held water before. So we were incredibly fortunate to get the amount of rainfall we got without encouraging any damage. This has been going on now for a few weeks, but I really feel for the people there in Houston, Texas, in Dallas. I mean, the people up there in Oklahoma. A lot of people lost their livelihoods, their houses, and their lives with all the flash floods that went on. So I was very fortunate. We really needed the rain, but it came down so fast, so hard that a lot of people met with devastation. So, man, my thoughts really go out to you because that rain really kicked a lot of ass. And then it was water that we needed with the drought that we've been in, but the fact that it came down so hard and heavy really messed a lot of people up. So for you guys out there that are still trying to recover from the Steve Austin show, please, keep your head up, and I wish you the best. I'm sorry for all the damage that the rains have caused. It was much-needed rain, but again, it sure came down fast, and it came down hard. There's a couple of guys sending out some messages on Twitter, and kind of rubbed me the wrong way, as it did a lot of other people, and don't really understand the devastation until you get down there and look at how it really impacted people and killed people. So anyway, let me jump off all that before I jump off on a tangent and start cussing somebody out. I'm going to roll on with the show today. Like I said, I got Sam Roberts. It's a whole different conversation than you heard last Thursday. And we're going to be talking about NXT, a little bit about Finn Balor, some Japan-style wrestling, how Sam became such a fan himself. We're just dimming the lights here at the studios at 316 Gimmick Street. I'm sitting with Sam Roberts. Everybody, we're going to do family-friendly today. I know how you like to go off the rail and cuss, Sam, but we're going to try to keep it family-friendly today. Are you down with that?
I can't make any promises, but I'll try.
Okay.
I'll put in the censor feature in my brain.
As you're in the studios, as you look out across the courtyard, see how peaceful and serene that is?
I do.
So that's complete BS because we're sitting in my office here at the house, and that's actually my front yard. Go ahead and buy some time for me. What you doing here in L.A. as I go let Hershey through the sliding doors from China right there. You're going to find out, Sam, because you and I have talked before on many occasions everywhere we've been, whether it's at WWE events or over at your studios in New York. You're no stranger to being able to fill some microphone time. So this is the least professional podcast you will ever do. And we're going to talk about your podcast in this conversation. And before I go open the sliding doors from China and let Hershey the Wonder Dog in, dude, I just figured we'd just shoot the breeze. This ain't no interview. We'll talk about the business of pro wrestling. You've been a fan for a long time.
Yeah.
And the things you got going in New York, fix to do some things with your radio gig.
Yep.
And talk about the Sam Roberts podcast.
Let's do it.
I'm intrigued.
I'll give into your intrigueness. I don't know if Intrigue Nation is a word.
It is. We just hashtag Intrigue Nation. I wish this was unleashed, but it ain't.
It is.
So what are you doing here?
Well, I'm out in L.A. for like 3 days. Obviously, I live in New York. But I came out for 3 days, number one, because I had to see where 316 Gimmick Street was for the very first time. But
what do you think about it?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I got to see your amazing organic yard where all the Steve Austin, the organic line of Steve Austin food comes from.
Dude, you saw those tomato plants out there. Pretty soon that's going to be salsa. Making money up in this mug, Sam.
That's it. You got to do it.
Yeah, you got to find the money wherever you can find it.
Once Whole Foods has Steve Austin salsa on the shelves, I'm going to know exactly the Garden of Eden that it came from.
Yeah, you'll know the Garden of Eden that it came from, but I can't give up my secret recipe, tricks of the trade. And we're going to talk trade secrets because you get to talk to a lot of guys from the business of pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
I was on your website, notsam.com,
yeah,
checking out some of the people that you've been talking to, and one of them just popped up because he has a picture front and center, was Sean Waltman, X-Pac.
Yes.
Man, what a super nice cat that guy is. Did you have a good time talking to him? What did y'all talk about?
I love him. I've known him for a few years now.
Yeah.
He's one of the sweetest dudes of anybody in the business that I've spoken to. He's one of the sweetest guys, but he's also one of these guys that I know I don't need to think about it. I know X-Pac's coming in tomorrow. That interview, I was texting him the night before because he goes, "Hey, Sam, I'm going to be in New York, in the city. Why don't I come up to the studio?" It's like, "Yep, come up. I don't have to prep. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is sit down." And X-Pac he's been through so much, and he's so honest about everything he's been through. He's got no shame about any of it. He's like, "Yep, this is exactly what happened."
And pretty much, if he figures, I think, if he can help somebody down the road or help somebody learn a life lesson because he's traveled down that road, been there, done that, and come out on the other side, he'd like to share his story.
And that was great. That's what was great about all the YouTube comments was most of them were like, complimenting X-Pac on his strength. For telling the story, and also it does help people to be like, yeah, I can get through what I'm getting through because he got through the craziest stuff that you could imagine.
Did y'all ever talk anything about just in-depth wrestling stuff, knowledge, or booking strategies, anything like that? Because it seemed like a lot of the guys from Minnesota just, for some reason, I don't know, have you ever got a chance to spend any time with Scott Hall and talk to him about the business?
A little bit.
Did you ever get inside his head? Because, the dude is so bright with respect to the business and working. And I used to travel with Rick Rude many, many miles up and down the road. And, of course, once we got in that car, that's how we'd talk about the business. Henning was the same way. But Sean just has an interesting perspective on the business.
Well, it's interesting with him because he's so in tune with what's going on now. Like, he still cares about the business. I get a text from him every now and then just randomly commenting on something that he just saw on Raw. Here's what they should have done. Here's what they're doing right. Here's what they need to do. Do you think it's because of the way they came up in Minnesota, or just geographically that just breeds wrestling brains?
I don't know. I just think it was maybe a little bit of a coincidence. Obviously with Kurt Henning's background and the fact that Scott was in the business so long before he turned into Razor. I mean, he's been immersed in the business forever. But I don't know, for whatever reason it is, those guys just seem to have a hand on what's going on. Just as far as psychology, percentages of the match. Just different ways to get over, and just all kinds of different stuff just within the psychology of a match. You grew up in New York?
Yeah, in Westchester, New York.
Okay. Now, dude, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay, so in your illustrious 31 years of life, what is a predominant wrestling federation or organization territory that you really dug? I mean, I'm guessing you're going to say WWE.
It was WWF, WWE. I checked out what was going on in WCW always, just because it was one of those wrestling fan. I mean,
did you catch a hotbed of the Monday Night Wars?
Oh yeah, the Monday Night Wars. I was invested in both.
Because you're about 18, 20?
Yeah, well, no, I was even younger than that. I mean, I was probably like 15. I was in high school.
Okay,
it was the perfect age for the Monday Night Wars to be going on.
What do you think about that?
Loved it.
You grew up watching the business, and all of a sudden there's two gangs really was going at it, and everything but the kitchen sink, playing with knives and guns and everything. And so the wrestling fans who were the real beneficiaries of that.
Yeah, especially because both shows, when it got to the point at first, WCW was just throwing stuff out going, we're going to make the coolest show on television. And WWF or WWE was going, we're just going to do what we've always done. They weren't competing almost, and I'm sitting there as a WWE, WWF fan going like, how am I supposed to watch Aldo Montoya when the NWO is on? Once WWF, WWE started going, okay, we're going balls to the wall, like, wait till you see this, then it was like, oh my God, people competing to put on the coolest show on television.
And that's with all due respect to Aldo Montoya. Just incredible. I mean,
great.
Great dude. But
Character-wise,
super guy. I love this.
And once he got to ECW, and you watch Just Incredible, that's a guy who I was locked into because he got to be Just Incredible.
And I've enjoyed his stuff on YouTube. He does some kind of tutorial type things, some of his tips. And dude's way wise beyond his years, and a guy who got a couple of swings at it and didn't pan out so much in WWE, but is a great hand in the ring. Great. I really enjoyed working with him in my early days in the WWF. I got a chance to work a real string of dates with PJ and had an absolute blast. So we didn't mean to disrespect him by any stretch of the imagination.
How does a guy like that, like when you're working with him, how does a guy like that, knowing what he's capable of, because like I said, I was also a huge ECW fan.
Right.
And so I was the biggest Just Incredible fan. How does a guy like that cope with being stuck into a character like Aldo Montoya?
Man, I don't know. I think it's, when you get stuck with that gig in the Federation as it was back then, and you're still pretty young in the business, it's like, dude, this is it. This is what we got for you. You either do it or you don't. And you don't have any leverage. And so it is what it is. The thing came about my situation. I'd been studying Steve for, 6-7 years. All of a sudden, get that phone call, ringmaster. I did it for 6 months, and then I saw the writing on the wall was going to be nowhere. And so because I had that 7.5 years behind me, I knew I had to make a change, and so I was able to. And it wasn't like it was a leverage play because it didn't really have any leverage. But the fact that the gimmick was going nowhere, Vince knew that the gimmick was going nowhere. There weren't any designs for me to be this big star. I came up with this name, and it was almost like I'm sure Vince was thinking, that kind of sounds goofy or crazy to me, but, the ringmaster ain't really ringing it up for us, no pun intended, so go for it.
Right.
And they gave me the blessings, trademarked the name, and we went off to the races.
But that's also a thing for you. You weren't a young guy in the business. You'd done a full run in WCW. You'd stop by ECW, and by that time, you don't have anything to lose. You go, I have to change this or I'm done.
Yeah, it's like I always tell people, some people say, hey, did you ever expect to return to this? I didn't really expect to turn to anything. I mean, I just want to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden you get in it for a while and you see, what other guys are doing and what the top's like. Being a pro wrestler is not enough. You want to be that guy. And I just knew that being a ringmaster, wasn't going to get me to that place.
You're not going to get that pretty got milk poster as the ringmaster.
Hey, man, I tell you what. Here's the thing. When you people out there were sitting in my office and there's no wrestling memorabilia around other than the milk picture that Sam pointed out. I want it to look like we got Mark Central over here, and this is a Stone Cold Museum. Over there is a stack of wrestling books that I'm working on reading. But, God dang, I forgot the point I was trying to make. What were we talking about?
Milk.
Oh, I was going to give you the backstory behind the milk poster.
Right.
I was going through a bad divorce at the time, Sam. Hadn't touched a weight in a couple of weeks. And they want to do this milk campaign, the Got Milk deal. And so Annie Leibovitz, the very famous photographer, she's wonderful. We're sitting there trying to do the gig. I'm feeling like, my mind's a million miles away. I look kind of like crap. We got the milk mustache going, and I got the one thing of milk. Well, Annie was so smart, she says, give him 2 glasses of milk. Because I don't think prior to this picture, anybody had used 2 glasses of milk. It was always a single.
Right.
What she did, Sam, in that picture, covered up my love handles. Look at the picture.
You're right. See, like as a wrestling fan, I'm sitting there going, okay, the photographer he does 2 cans of beers, he smashes them together.
No, she just did that. I mean, I think really to cover my ass. You can see I got a little bit of seashell over the 6-pack there, so I'm not in terrible shape. I got down, did a bunch of push-ups, but it was her being so smart to bring those 2 glasses in rather than 1 and save me. That's the story, and that story has never been told, but that's the genius and a real simple form of the genius of Annie Leibovitz.
And that poster is not a piece of wrestling memorabilia. It's a memory of Annie Leibovitz going out of her way to save Steve
to save a future global icon and national treasure. Swig of vitamin D for the working men and women all over the world. Sam, you're a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
What got you entrenched in the business? Were you flipping channels? All of a sudden you say, holy smokes, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
It's one of those things where I don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't watching pro wrestling. The story goes that when I was an infant, my older sister, as a 4-year-old or 5-year-old, was watching wrestling. This would have been 85, 86. And as a baby, I was sitting there watching it, and then it just kind of like as a toddler, I'm watching it, and then it just was always on. And once I started developing conscious memories, wrestling was there.
What are some of the strongest storylines or angles or some of the key players that jump out in your memory?
As like a kid,
and up till now, just some of the premier moments that you remember as highlights or things that I'll never forget that.
I know that I think the storyline that really got me in, I was probably 7 years old or so, 6, 7 years old, was watching Hogan and Slaughter, of all gimmicks, like that Desert War
was great feud.
Even as a kid, I'm going, wait, they're talking about that on the news, and they're doing it in wrestling, too. Right. I got to see what goes on here. America can't lose at WrestleMania. Macho Man Randy Savage was my first favorite wrestler. He was the guy that I really glommed onto. I don't know if it was the outfits. I don't know if it was I don't think at that age I could fully process how good he was in ring, but just he always had something entertaining to say. He always looked entertaining. And as a kid, I said, that's the guy. Okay, stop you right there before you continue with the rest of the people and some of the angles that you really dug. But now that you're 31 and all these years are moved, and you know, Macho Man attracted you to his persona and everything that he was doing, did you ever go back and research the work that he did in the USWA when he was feuding with Lawler and some of those matches? Because, I mean, he was doing it back then. Yeah. Didn't take it to the level, but he was already the consummate worker. And that intensity, the thing about Macho was the intensity, and a lot of guys listen to this. If you're listening to this and you're working in the ring,
don't mistake intensity for speed and rushing things. It was just the intent, the way he presented himself.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that resonated with me. He was just like, he had that mean streak as a heel. He had that fire as a babyface, but it was always the intensity.
And you believed everything he was doing. You believed
Absolutely,
it
because
he
he
believed
did.
it. Yeah, and you could see what he was doing. I mean, I did get to go back and research. That was probably, I'm going to shock you, I think. I didn't date a lot in high school. I wasn't the captain of the football team.
I thought you were like a Casanova.
No, that came much later.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was a tape trader. Mm-hmm. So it was high school when I started tape trading like crazy, and I still have quite literally thousands of VHS tapes in my parents' house, just stacked up in boxes, because that's when I fell in love with World Class. I started going through the USWA stuff because I just started getting fascinated in this story. For instance, Macho Man or whoever it was that's been told to us is not the whole story. Like, let me go back. Like, look at all the hours of footage, matches on matches, with Hogan and Macho and Andre, some Steve Austin stuff that you just go back and you don't even realize it exists unless you really hunt for it back then.
What did you think about the World Class stuff?
That was the territory. I started going back and really trying to figure out the territory system when I was in high school and get my head around it, and watched all the TV shows and watched the Florida Championship and the Mid-South and all this stuff. But World Class was the show that I go, this was so far ahead of its time. And I don't think it ever gets enough credit.
You got a chance to see the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, when he came to WWF. And what you saw was a shell of what he was, because at that time, he'd already had a motorcycle accident. He's working with a prosthetic foot. Tried to keep that on the down low for so many years and was successful doing it. And then, things had kind of spiraled out of control for him, and he just wasn't the same in the ring. But you got to understand, man, if you were in Texas, and if you go back and you watch those tapes, and, man, I was in college, and I was in North Texas State in 86 and 87. That was still good then. It was even better maybe a year or two or three before that. When I got in 88, 89, that's when things kind of started falling apart. And by then, a couple of them already died. But, man, those Von Erichs, when they were all around and they were in their prime, they were the biggest rock stars in the state of Texas, and in saying that, I mean, if you didn't know them, I mean, they were so special. It was just an unbelievable time to see the persona of those guys. And I'll tell you what, being in that sportatorium, it smelled like beer and piss and popcorn and sweat and stench, and it was a perfect atmosphere for wrestling. I don't know what it seated, 3,000, 4,000, maybe 5. And all of a sudden, man, they hit Stranglehold, and here comes Kevin, or they'd hit Modern Day Warrior, here comes Kerry, and the place just come unglued.
Yeah, going back on those tapes, because I remember when Texas Tornado showed up, even as a kid, I was thinking to myself, why is this guy such a big deal? Why is anybody making such a huge deal out of him? And I was like, he's all right. He kind of looks like a light Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? He's not quite. And so, and forever, I was like, okay, he's just some guy that they thought was going to be a big deal and wasn't. Then I go back and look at these world-class tapes, and when the Von Erichs walked into the Sportatorium, it's the Beatles. I mean, it's every week. It's the Von Erichs and the Freebirds in some way, shape, or form, and for week after week after week after week, it just works.
They're going to have WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas, this coming year.
Yeah.
And if Michael Hayes and the Freebirds don't go into the Hall of Fame this year, I'm gonna throw a full-fledged riot.
You're gonna be the guy.
Are you
with
a fan
the
of the Freebirds? I mean, you understand their impact on the business.
I mean, you talk about ahead of their time.
Oh,
that was
man.
such a big part of why World Class was so far ahead of its time, with the music and the character and the just larger than life everything.
I can't even remember what a ticket used to cost, Sam, because I'd go down on Friday nights to watch the live show, and then I'd go back on Saturday mornings and watch the TV tapings, which came out on KTVT that night on Saturday night. And, man, I tell you what, Michael Hayes, primping down to the damn ring with the music blaring. He'd have that rebel flag red sequin robe, and he got on that second turnbuckle and started doing all his Freebird stuff. I mean, dude, that was worth the price of the ticket just watching him make an entrance. Heaven forbid he hadn't even worked yet. And Michael wasn't the classical worker that's going to tell you a scientific story. You're going to either love him as a babyface because he's talking that trash and backing it up, or you're going to hate him because he's talking that trash and getting heat.
Yeah, and that's why he was so good as a heel, because I feel like he had the problem that a lot of the guys like in NXT have now, that he's so cool that you want to cheer for him. So he's got to work extra hard to
but
make
the thing
sure
about it is,
when
when it came time to get the heat, here's what I tell a lot of people when I'm trying to talk to them about getting heat in the ring. He had the ability to do it. Adrian Adonis had the ability to do it. Ric Flair did it. When the heat turned and it came time to really get dirty, and Flair turned into the dirtiest player in the game, but Adrian, his whole body language changed. Michael P.S. Hayes, come time to get the heat, everything about him changed. He was a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And that's what I really respected about what those guys were doing. And, of course, the guy could talk a blue streak all day long.
Yeah. It's funny with Flair that you mentioned Flair because I was talking about being such a WWE, WWF guy. I was living in England for a while when I was a kid, for 4 years, so we didn't have WCW TV. I didn't start watching WCW until 93. So all I knew was the wrestling magazines and WWF TV. That's all I knew. So 91, Bobby Heenan starts showing the NWA title on TV, and he said, "This belongs to the real world champion." And I'm going, I've never seen that belt before. I didn't know what it was, but I'm so excited. Who is the real world champion? I can't wait for the reveal. Ric Flair gets revealed. I must have been 7, 8 years old, and I go, who the hell is that guy? I had no idea who Ric Flair was. How old were you? I was 7 or 8 years old.
Okay. Well, that's,
no, not a clue. Not a clue.
That's an okay question. I mean, that's an okay thing to say then if you're 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So then I cut you off right in the middle of you talking about some of your WWE people. Let's go back to Ric Flair because and I've had Rick on the podcast many times. Many people know that Ric Flair is my favorite professional wrestler in the world. I just think when you put the dictionary on pro wrestler, there's a picture of Ric Flair. And that's with all due respect to the Harley Races, the Terry Funks, and, the Stan Hansons and the Bruiser Brodies and all the guys that I really – Dusty Rhodes that put up there. But he's just that guy. Did you catch any of his work in the NWA? Did you go back and watch all that catalog and stuff?
Yeah, I absolutely went back, especially all the Dusty stuff.
Right.
I mean, you have to go back to really appreciate it, and that's the way I've always been. Like, I got to, okay, if there's enough people talking about this, let me figure out what I missed. And watching him, going back, all the Dusty stuff, all the sort of really early Horseman stuff, just incredible. He's one of the guys, Flair, Macho Man, there's only a real few people that I can play promos of for non-wrestling fans. Like, if I find a non-wrestling fan, I
Dusty's
go, yeah,
that guy, too.
You can't Dusty. Yeah. You can't tell me this isn't entertainment.
Right.
And I put on Flair, Dusty, Macho.
Superstar's another guy.
Put the, Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
Or Stone Cold. You
Yeah,
play the old Stone Cold stuff, and it still holds up.
Yeah. Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's when I was young enough that I had to go back and sort of figure out what the big deal was. And then once you watch Superstar Billy Graham, I start realizing all these people that I watched as a kid were just doing Superstar.
Right. Well, I mean, Hogan was, Ventura was, Steiner was.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys that aren't coming to my mind right now. So, okay, you grew up as a fan.
Yeah.
You watched World Class. You watched a lot of the territory stuff. Did you check out Mid-South and Power Pro from Bill Watts?
Some of the Mid-South stuff.
Okay.
Not a ton of it.
You saw some of it.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah.
Okay, and you have an appreciation for the old school.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were right there live and in living color, younger cat, but 15, 16, and the Attitude Era or the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, and right now, you're seeing a lot of wrestling, and we've got what we got going on today on TV, and it's a 3-hour show. How do you assess today's product versus, 15 years ago and to the stuff that you grew up on?
As a fan, a total fan. I'm the type of guy, though, that gives the benefit of the doubt probably too much. I go, wait, let's see where they're going with this, and more often than not it goes, they didn't even know where they were going with that. They weren't going anywhere with this. But I think that there are still moments of, there it was. I think they're doing better now with the moments that pop up, like that, like Brock beating The Undertaker. You go, whoa, like there's this moment that just captures everybody. I think they're doing better now with that than they ever were. But in terms of the week-to-week, when I would sit there and turn on Raw, that feeling of, I don't know what's going to happen, but I guarantee I'm going to be glued to the TV, I don't have that feeling.
Right.
It's not.
Don't you think? I mean, you can't go back and try to change the business, and you really have to change. It's not about changing the business. It's not about going back to the Attitude Era. And it's not like taking the filter off the language, but it's just a spontaneity. You just felt that sense of urgency. I mean, man, back in the day, if you go back to that Raw Open, Cold Open, whatever they call it, all the pyro going off. They still have pyro, but I mean, it was like warfare, and it was. Raw was war, and it was presented like that. It was fast paced. It felt the adrenaline and the testosterone behind it, and it was a 2-hour show. But there was a sense of urgency, and like you said, you didn't know what the hell was going to happen.
And the audience is on top of the ring. There's signs everywhere. People are just piled in. I also think that, however, I'm not a backstage guy. I don't know what's going on, but I think that when you watch the Attitude Era stuff, you see this sort of thing where guys were going out and just, it felt like they had figured something out and they were putting everything into it. Not everybody, but the top guys were, it didn't feel like somebody had created a character for them, and they were going out and doing this. It felt like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to go make this work because nobody is going to do it for me. I'm going to make this work. And I don't feel when I'm watching now, with a very minor exception of maybe a few instances or guys, I don't feel like people are going out there and saying, forget what they gave me. I'm going to make good TV tonight. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to get this over. Or, I've got, this is the idea. This is what I'm going out there to do.
You being such a hardcore wrestling fan, and myself as well, and you're busy as hell with all the stuff that you're doing, and we'll talk about that here in just a second, but is 3 hours just biting off a little too much on a week-in, week-out basis?
3 hours plus SmackDown.
Call a spade, Sam.
5 hours of TV. I think it is too much. And I think it gets to the point where, especially when you're, I don't feel like they're creating a ton of different stories that they're telling.
Right.
They're still kind of concentrating on one main event story, and the rest is kind of filler at points. I don't watch it in the full 3 hour. Now, I have to wake up early and do morning radio.
Right.
But I watch an hour and a half, maybe 2, next morning, next afternoon, come back. And sometimes I'll start the show at 8:30, start it recording, and that way I can fast forward through the commercials, I can fast forward through a couple of moments, whatever. But I rarely sit down and watch the full 3 hours live.
So you DVR it and then
DVR
fast forward and go through the stuff.
And then, I'm not staying up until 11:30 because I can't, because I got to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But
do you try to? Do you at least try to watch the entire program?
Oh, I always
because
watch.
You talk to a lot of guys in the business.
Yeah,
There's a lot of your podcasts are centered around.
Yeah, I always watch the entire show. I think I like to know what's going on, and I don't like it when people say it's too long, I don't watch it. Well, if you don't watch it, how do you know it's too long?
Right.
What if you're missing something?
Right.
So,
I watch it and it's too long.
There you go. That I'm okay
I'll
with.
say it. But I understand, USA won the third hour, there's money in it, and so they're taking the money, and I get all the business dynamics. So I don't want to sit there and beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your podcast, because it's a Sam Roberts wrestling podcast.
Right.
Okay, so, dude, you're I like your website, professional broadcaster.
That's right.
Did you go to broadcast school?
I went to Syracuse, and they have a broadcasting school. I didn't go to it,
right.
But people assume that I did. I have a sociology major of all things.
What in the hell are we going to do with that?
With a sociology major, get out of school as quick as possible so I could work in radio. I was.
Well, why not take the radio class or
because
communications or whatever?
Syracuse has Newhouse, and it's like the top communication school in the country. All you have to do to get into Newhouse, when you're in Syracuse, if you're in like the College of Arts and Science, which is the sort of catch-all school, all you have to do is have a 3.5 GPA, and they'll let you transfer into Newhouse. I've never been able to concentrate on anything I wasn't into. So a 3.5 GPA was way out of the realm of possibility. So it wasn't happening. So I didn't want to sit there and study a whole bunch of stuff and that I didn't care about, just to get this 3.5, just to get into the school. So I figured out what major I could get, and then just spent all my time in the college radio station.
Man,
figured it out.
Yeah, Sam, listening to you talk, I just figured, man, you're like a rocket scientist. I was thinking, like, you're probably rocking that 4.0, so not so much.
Not even close.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a solid C student.
Yeah.
Unless I was into the class, and then it was
what were you
easy
into?
A's. Well, like in high school, we had an entrepreneurship class. And I just found out about it. Somebody said, there's a class in this high school that'll give you $50. And you go and you use it to start a business, and then whoever has the best business gets like $200 at the end of the semester. Right. And I go, they give you $50. And they go, yeah. And I go, you don't have to pay it back. And they go, no. I'm signing up for that
class.
You're
like one of the boys.
yeah. I figure at the worst case scenario, I'm getting $50.
Right.
Which I don't have to pay back.
Yeah.
And so that class, it wasn't rocket science. I just went. I got the $50. I bought a whole bunch of candy with it at the Price Club, and then sold the candy in school, and ended up making, a few $100 a week selling candy. That class I got an A in because my business was better than anybody else's because I could make some money. But, you know, all the sciences and the maths and it just wasn't. It never clicked.
So you ended up getting a degree.
Yeah, I got a sociology degree. And that was because...
What about physical education? I mean, it could have been anything. I mean, but...
Well, what happened was...
You were just going to take the degree. Did you need a piece of paper to get in radio? Why didn't you just jump in radio off the get-go?
Because my dad said I couldn't live at home for free if I didn't graduate college.
Hey, I can dig that.
That's a business...
And that being said, I mean, I stopped college at 17 hours before I got my degree. And was a business major. Math and accounting killed me, so I transferred to PE, and I can apply myself to anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology because you can see it, touch it, and understand it. I don't have a math brain. Don't get me wrong. I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But, you know, I'd done too many research papers, and I just figured, man, I ain't going to use this degree, so I got out.
Right.
But I always stress to the younger generation, if you're in high school right now, you need your diploma. Once you get out, you either go to trade school, some vocational deal, learn how to weld, turn into a mechanic, go to one of those institutes, or go to college, get your damn degree. That piece of paper will open a lot of damn doors for you.
And that's what I figured. Just saying I graduated from Syracuse is something.
Right.
So that's what I did. It was literally just right before my senior year, looking through that course book. What have I taken? What can I pull off here? What major can I put together? Like, and I had the most sociology credits of anything.
Right.
Sociology wins.
Yeah.
That's what I could throw together at the last year, and I did it.
So what kind of kid were you in high school? A popular kid?
I mean, yeah, I was popular enough. Like, I was, you know.
Well, I mean, you talk a lot. You're on the radio.
Right.
You turn into a broadcaster. So, I mean, you probably just
talked
like
a lot.
run your mouth.
Jokes a lot. Ran my mouth.
Were you the class clown?
Somewhat, yeah. Friends with all the big kids, so I wouldn't get beaten up.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. And that was it. Yeah, I just kind of, I got bored a lot.
Now, so you knew you wanted to be on radio.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to broadcast.
Okay.
I mean,
first, but when you say broadcast, on television or on radio?
Whatever works.
Okay.
I'll figure it out when I get there.
Gotcha. Now, why did you want to do this? What was spurring you to, I got to be a broadcaster?
Well, I was probably like 14, 15 years old, and I said, I got to figure out how I can just be myself and make a living doing it. And pro wrestling isn't going to work for me, so you know I don't have the anatomy to be a professional wrestler. So
I mean, we could have got you all gassed up. Back in another era, maybe we could have had a future.
That's true.
Go ahead.
And I said, okay, all I want to do is be
just
myself.
For the records, I want to say this: Sam Roberts took a urine test and passed with flying colors. He is not on any performance-enhancing drugs as we do this podcast now. Right. If something happens afterwards, that's on Sam.
Well, you want to talk about performance-enhancing drugs? This is legit. I spent 3 years on human growth hormone growing up.
Did you?
I was a scrawny kid. I was not 5 feet tall, and you know we went to a doctor, tried to figure like why is he so small. The doctor said, "Look, we have human growth hormone. We can put him on.
Yep.
If we don't, he may not pass 5 foot tall." And I said, "Mom, no brainer. Like, we got to do this." And so yeah, I spent 3-4 years like as a 13, 14-year-old.
Well, I mean, so how tall did you end up being?
I'm almost 5'10". I call it
5'10". He's 6'4" at the fro.
That's right.
You let that thing get out of control.
Right.
Yeah, but for the medical uses, I dig that.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the reason. You wasn't doing to get all yoked up. How's your drop kick? Ever since you got 270, not so much. So tell me about the radio gig with Opie and Anthony, turning your own show.
Yeah, well, I started with
your
Opie and
hours.
Anthony.
I got it all written down here, but I didn't even turn my computer on.
I started with Opie and Anthony. It's a morning show. It's an ungodly hour. I'm up at 4 o'clock every morning, heading into the city, producing the morning show.
How far you got to drive into the city?
It's about a half hour. It's
not bad.
It's not bad at all, especially at that hour. There's no traffic. But I'm on the air with. I was on the air with them. Anthony got fired about a year ago.
Right.
Tweeting too much. But at that point, we had to kind of relaunch the show, refigure it out with just Opie.
Right.
We did, and it's still doing its thing. But I've been there for almost 10 years from the time I interned to now as, executive producer, on-air guy there, and I'm finally getting a shot to take my weekly show that I do for their channel.
Yep.
I'm on Friday afternoons as we speak. Hopefully, I don't know when the podcast is going out, but possibly by the time the podcast goes out, I'll be on every day.
So you're looking forward to going every day?
Yeah, this is what the whole thing...
Obviously now it's going to be a jump up in pay grade, right?
It better be.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, we're negotiating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but this is what the whole thing has been leaning towards. Like, I've been doing shows the whole time I've been there, but I started, the first shift I had was Saturday, one Saturday a month from midnight to 3 a.m.
Right.
Then they would give me 9 p.m. Then they would give me 2 Saturdays a month. Then they would give me every Saturday. Then they'd give me Sunday afternoon. And you keep working and plugging and plugging and plugging and going through co-host after co-host till finally, all right, let's try you on Friday afternoons, drive time, and then, a year later, all right, let's
So tell me about that jump to drive time and the pressure, right?
A lot of pressure. I'm feeling a lot of pressure now knowing that I'm going to be on
but this is
every single
podcast,
day.
brother. You No, on your radio gig, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, going every day is going to be cool.
Yeah,
Pressure,
it's a
gotta
lot
deliver.
of pressure.
But, dude, you're natural. So, I mean, are you going to overthink this thing, or are you just
No.
going to let it happen? Yeah.
I
Because,
just
dude,
got it at this
it's like
point.
Zach Wild told me a long time ago, and every now I'll still do it. If you're thinking, you're stinking. You're bright enough and you're good enough, you've been doing this long enough, and you got your chops up, you're
Right.
going to be fine.
And if I can't do it at this point, like if I go out there
Right.
and stink, then this wasn't the right career path.
Sam, I'm not a guy that prays a lot. Tonight, before I turn out the lights and go to sleep, I'm going to hit the knees and say a little bit of prayer for you.
Is that right?
Yep. I'm going to pray for Sam Roberts.
Is that because you think I need it or because I deserve it?
Just I need something to say.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, here we go. Sam Roberts, part 2 of this illustrious podcast. Sam, paying dues. You mentioned a little bit of it right before we went to the break.
Yeah.
But what's the story? I mean, how did you tie in with the station you tied in? 10 years is a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you can go to every 5 days a week versus 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get there.
Long time.
Got to eat a lot of dirt sandwiches. What's the
Oof.
story?
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of hard because there's some people like, have you ever heard of an actor named Kevin Pollack?
Yes.
He's got a big problem with me. He's made it very public that he's got a problem with me.
Why?
Because, I don't know, he doesn't like
How
me
can
on the
anybody
air.
have a problem with you?
That's what I've always
Dude, you
said.
get along with everybody.
I do. I thought I did, but Kevin Pollack has gone out and he's said it on his radio show.
Yeah.
And he's gone on Reddit and he said all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Because we're on the PG version
Yeah.
of the podcast. All kinds of stuff about me and being on the air and this and that and he called up, Opie's show one time because he doesn't think I've paid my dues enough. He couldn't be.
How many dues you got to pay, Sam?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've been here just because he just turned on his radio.
Right.
Doesn't mean, and let's be honest, it's Kevin Pollack. Like most of the movies he's been in is because somebody more famous is in the movie.
Right.
It's not like anybody goes to A Few
Right.
Good Men and
Was
says,
that a
"Oh,
shot?"
see Kevin Pollack." I don't know. I don't know. But it wasn't for me.
You
Steve.
hold on. You got to get a visual. Sam's got his GoPro over across the damn room, but you're hearing the audio version. I said, "Is that a shot?" And Sam goes, "I don't know," and he puts his hand out to the side. So shots fired here at 316 Gimmick Street. Helicopters, ambulances on the way. There was an airplane. There was a crop duster taking off a while ago. All the noise and the BS which goes with this show. So anyway, why does this guy have a beef with you, Sam? You're such an amiable, happy guy.
I thought so.
Are you a miserable wretch? When you're not on the air, what is
He
it?
only knows me from on the air.
Right,
I think he's jealous.
right.
I think he's jealous. That's what I think he is. I think he's so he kind of wishes that at 31 maybe
Right.
he had the opportunities that I had. Maybe
But
he'd
dude, it's
taken
like older
advantage
dude.
of the
He's like 50
opportunity.
years old, ain't he?
I mean, he's older than 50. He's got to be
Yeah.
at this point. He doesn't look 50. He looks
Yeah.
much older. But
Shots fired.
but
Sam just broke out of AK.
but in terms of paying dues, yeah, it was just a matter of, okay, I got an internship with Opie and
Right.
Anthony. And that was, right out of college.
So what do you do? You just send in your college resume, say, "Hey, Opie Anthony, I want to intern with you."
I was in college. It was my junior year of college, and I put together a CD of my favorite stuff that I'd done on my college radio show.
Yeah.
Obviously god-awful. But it was something.
Right.
And then a resume and all this stuff, and I sent it to a ton of different radio stations. Opie and Anthony being one of them, and Opie
Right.
and Anthony being the one that I really wanted. Because
Right.
that's the one I'd been listening to
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was in high school, and blah, blah, blah. And I did that, sent those resume packages out every month or two. I would just resend them out to the same people
Good for you.
just to
Determined.
keep my name in the
Yeah.
mix. Finally, I got one phone call back, and it was from the Opie and Anthony show, that was the only phone call I wanted or needed.
Yeah.
So they called me up and they said, we want you to interview for this internship. And I drove back to New York City from Syracuse in between two finals. So I took
Yeah.
a final, drove back to the city, spent a day there, did my interview, drove back to Syracuse to take my final. But I ended up getting the internship.
So, man, when they're trying to grill you for an intern job at a radio show, I mean, like, how intensive are they grilling you here? What are they looking for?
This is what I didn't understand, and I wish I had. it's not that tough to get an internship at a radio show. I mean, once you're there, it's the tough part is taking advantage of the opportunity and making yourself somebody, because that's where I think paying your dues comes in. Like, my mission from day one was, okay, I got this internship. I need to make it so that when my internship is over, they're saying, we can't do this without you. We don't want you to leave.
What are the daily duties of an intern?
Well, the daily duties are just fetching coffee, grabbing breakfast, going through the show audio, whatever, just the menial stuff.
Right.
The part that separates people is when you can start looking at the show as quickly as you can, because you got 3 months to make an impression, and figure out, okay, what's this show lacking that I can fill in? Only me. Like, not like, who am I going to emulate? It's where are the holes, and how do I fill them so that once I leave, the holes pop up again, and they go, we need Sam back here. And that's kind of what I did as an intern.
I might have to get you to look at the Steve Austin Show podcast. What the flying hell I'm doing wrong over here? So
it's a lot of holes to fill.
Let me ask you something. So you're in college. You listen to Opie Anthony, right?
Yeah.
So how did you develop your kind of on-air personality, your style?
Well,
were you emulating those guys?
I don't
inspire you?
They inspired me. I wasn't emulating them, but I was inspired by them because I saw what they were doing and how they did it, and how did that apply to me. They were being themselves.
Right.
They weren't doing radio tricks. They weren't trying to figure out, how to format something and do this. They weren't overthinking anything.
Right.
They went in there. They talked about what was going on, either in the news or in their lives. And they talked the way they talked off the air, and they gave their opinions, and they were funny, and they were just naturally funny people, and they let that come out on the air.
So you're going to be on 5 days a week, starting every day, this coming week?
June 1st. Yeah.
Okay, so if you got 3 hours to flap your gums, what kind of material are you going to be talking about for 3 hours?
Well, I'm going to I'm feeling good because every time I do a show on a Friday, I prep myself for a 3-hour show and end up doing half of that prep, if not less. It's
that's the ability to fill in a lot of gaps. That's like working with Ricky Steamboat. Not using all your material because you're good.
Right.
Well, what do you do for a 3-hour prep?
Well, I try to figure out, okay, what are the things that I want to talk about?
Hang on, I'm taking notes.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm over here in shorthand. Go ahead.
You figure out what you want to talk about. So, like, at any point during the day, I'm making notes to myself. Like, if an idea pops up, if I'm talking to you about something and there's a kernel in something that we said, my mind is just tuned to say that kernel becomes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is.
Now, will you jump on that kernel right then, or you say, "Oh, let's come back to that," and then flesh it out?
If we're doing something that works right now, I'm just going to take note of that kernel,
right?
Because
you're pretty good at having that storage system up there to go back to.
Yeah. And
if you got hit in the head for steel chairs 15 years, not so much.
Not as much.
I'm making a good excuse for myself. Keep going.
Concussion-free, Sam Roberts.
He's concussion-free. He's almost drug-free.
But, yeah, because it's a matter of figuring out how do you fill the time and how you do it creatively and how do you do it in a way that is compelling.
Right.
And whenever anything's working, the last thing you want to do is stop it. If it's working, you push it until right before it's not going to work. You have to figure out, and that's, sometimes I might push things.
WWE, are you listening?
Yeah.
Keep going.
You just you push and you push and you push, and then right before it's going to get stale, pull the brakes and start the next thing. Go to break, whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out. And, I can see that you're doing that as we do this. Like, as we're talking, you're figuring out, okay, I've tapped into this conversation. Right before the well runs dry, let me move on to another topic.
No, you're completely wrong. That's what I should be doing.
Right.
I'm just here nodding my head, looking and enjoying the conversation. and like I said, this thing wasn't agenda-driven about talking about any kind of stuff. So, here's the thing about my podcast. I call it the Steve Austin Show. Really, and it's kind of like a show about nothing. Sometimes it's a microcosm of my life. Sometimes I talk to guys from wrestling, or sometimes I just read Q&As on the show, and that gives me the creative freedom to basically do anything because I'm not stuck to a format. I don't have to do anything.
But there's a big difference in what you do is you tap in to the entertaining part of your personality. Like, know when something's entertaining. Like, you've made – I had to text you the other day because I was listening to you and your wife, and you were arguing about, like, hair treatments. And she said, like, I was getting a keratin treatment. And you're like, we got carrots in the house. And I was like, just making that entertaining.
Yeah. And we did.
Making that entertaining is not an easy thing. Like, I'll turn on, the radio, and I'll hear two dudes. They're like, hey, what do you do when your girlfriend eats your sandwich that you left in the fridge? Call up now. Is it your sandwich, or after you leave it in the fridge, is it public domain? I'm like, this is god awful.
Yeah.
We're not talking about anything. You haven't made it entertaining.
Yeah, but see, you made it good. The guys that did the material messed it up.
Right.
So 3 hours. I mean, so here's one of the things that I don't cover. I like to talk about politics and religion. Do you talk about that on your show?
I will. I'll always try to spin it away because I don't consider myself a hugely intelligent person, and I don't like to
don't be so hard on yourself.
Well, I don't like to do a lot of reading.
I mean, it's not like you're dumber than a rock.
But I don't like to do all the reading.
Right.
So I'll try to be like, okay, what's the story here? Why is everybody, and how do I spin this into something that's entertaining?
Right.
And just try to find like one little angle and just expand on it.
Right.
Like, you know, when the Ebola thing was happening and everybody was worried about Ebola, I said, yeah, I'm worried about Ebola because everybody else is, but I'm not going to read a whole bunch of doctors' reports. I'm not going to go into news stories. But I was just thinking to myself, okay, if Ebola hits, the human race may be in trouble.
Right.
What species would take over after the human race? And I said, bears.
Bears.
And then I ended up doing 40 minutes about how we need to watch out for the bears now, and the bears are trouble.
Right.
But you could figure out a way, the same thing
Right.
you know, we're wrestling a fly for an hour. Like, you just figure out a way to do it, and
See, I had the whole thing, the Ebola thing wrong because I don't hear so well. And so my wife said, did you hear about Ebola? I said, yeah, I'll take a bowl of Captain Crunch. But see what I did there?
You got it.
Complete nut. I'm going to break kayfabe on a family-friendly show, but it worked.
yeah.
Where do we go from here? The podcast, you could have talked about anything in the world. Yeah. But is it from your love of pro wrestling that you wanted to do a pro wrestling podcast? Or is it because you got the 3-hour window of radio that you cover pretty much everything that you decided to dedicate the podcast to one of your passions?
Well, the pro wrestling thing I've found, because I've tried to incorporate it, and I've done shows. Like I did a couple Fridays ago, I went down to Philly and did my whole Sirius XM show from the NXT show in Philly. And it's a very wrestling-heavy show, which is not normal for the Sirius XM show. But every now and then I think it's okay to throw in. But I find with wrestling fans, either they love wrestling and it's all they want to hear about, or a person doesn't want to hear about wrestling and they never, ever want to hear about it. It's one side or the other. There's no sort of sometimes it's okay. So I try to limit the amount of wrestling coverage I do on the Sirius XM show, but I still want to talk to the wrestling audience, and I still like talking about wrestling. I still want to talk to all the boys. So I figure, okay, I'll start this wrestling podcast. I can talk directly to my wrestling audience. If you like wrestling, here's the wrestling podcast. You know, and sometimes I'll put those interviews on the Sirius show too, but it's just a way to communicate with the wrestling fans and to be able to talk about wrestling once a week, which is easy for me. It's no extra work.
You're in New York City, so is Peter Rosenberg. You guys buddies?
We are.
Are you arch rivals? What's the story? The Crips and the Bloods?
No. We're buddies, and we've done stuff together.
Banditos and Hells Angels? That's current.
Yeah,
what's happening?
The Jets and the Sharks.
Yeah.
We're buddies. We've been buddies for a long time. I think there's always been a competitive nature between us, but not. We've also helped each other out throughout several things. I've done his podcast a whole bunch of times, you know, and we've been the two. We've kind of grown at pretty similar rates. We met each other probably 7 years ago, and we were both kind of lower on the totem pole. Now we've both kind of risen around the same time, and I think we're kind of jockeying for that position of New York mainstream media guy who's covering pro wrestling and being number one there.
So then if you two guys who have been watching the business for a long-ass time are together, I mean, are y'all pretty much on the same page, or is it like a Republican talking to a Democrat with respect to the business of wrestling, and you agree on nothing?
We don't generally agree.
Really?
He's way harder on it than I am. He's way more negative about stuff than I am. Rosenberg's the guy who's going to come out of a show and start listing what was wrong. And I'm the guy that's going to come out of a show and start going, oh, my God, I can't believe that, blah, 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 blah. I still have that fan in me. I don't.
Your glass half full is glass half empty.
Yeah. I don't want to get to the point where I'm, kind of nitpicking what's wrong with it.
Right.
Number one, I'm not in the wrestling business. I'm close. I'm on the line.
Okay.
But I don't.
But you got to form an opinion on something based on what you've seen and what you like.
But if I wasn't enjoying what was on TV, on some level, I wouldn't be watching it.
Yes.
And so.
But you have a healthy, profound respect for the business of professional wrestling.
Right. And I don't want to, go out of my way to. I'm just not an overly critical person of pro wrestling. And I've been called out on it. Some people prefer the critical thing because it's more honest or real or whatever it is. But I know that for me, it wouldn't. If I started being critical of what was on TV regularly, if I started really being harsh on it, here's what they need to do. They're so stupid over there. Vince doesn't know what he's doing. But
right.
I'd just be doing that to pacify a portion of the audience.
Right.
That's not how I feel. I don't sit there watching,
right.
pretending to know Vince's job, and I wouldn't want Vince telling me what I should be doing on my radio show.
Right.
You know?
So what should they be doing?
Well, I'll tell you this. Nothing, as far as pro wrestling goes, has me more locked in than NXT right now. The stuff that's going on down at NXT is like next level. And that's NXT feels more like what they should be doing on the main roster. NXT feels like they're giving guys
Bold
the freedom
statement
to
that
work.
I've heard from many people.
Yeah. They're giving guys the freedom to work.
Yeah.
They're trying things. They're creating characters that they weren't doing on TV for a while. And I'm sure it's easier because they have 1 hour of TV a week instead of 5. But
that's part of it. But then again, did you watch Payback?
Yeah.
Pretty good show.
I thought what I liked about it is predictable. Like, all the results were very predictable.
Well,
but,
yeah.
But the matches...
A guy that's been watching business as long as you and me, it's going to be predictable.
Right.
I mean, you can look at it. I can watch a football game. It's going to be predictable.
Right.
For the most part.
Right.
So anything is, really.
Yeah.
Continue.
But the matches were all good. Usually when I kind of know, okay, there is no direction to go in other than this win, all the titles are being retained, blah, blah, blah. The fact that I was compelled by the matches that were going on, I think, was the strong part about that show.
So go the NXT thing, because did they just have an event?
Yeah, they did. They're one of their
tell me to watch
pay-per-views.
it on my Twitter account. I'm Steve Austin BSR. You're at Not Sam on Twitter.
Right.
So what was the event that they had? Because I heard the girls knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it's a takeover show. They do like I would call it a pay-per-view. Not that it's on pay-per-view, but it's the special. They do a 2-hour pay-per-view thing every 3 months or so, and it's a 2-hour block instead of 1 hour.
Right.
And I can't remember what this one was called, but they did Sasha Banks and Becky.
Yeah, Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. And the women's match tore the roof off the place.
Dude, I was talking about the women's over in NXT a few episodes back, and it was a Charlotte versus Sasha Banks match.
Yeah.
And then there was also, I think it was a Charlotte versus Bayley match. It was Bayley, she's one like to hug, right?
Yeah.
That's her deal, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I was just trying to get my things right. But, I mean, awesome pro-style matches.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls went, man, I didn't have my watch. It was a 12-minute match, 15-minute match. I mean, but the thing is, they were wrestling. It was pro wrestling. And it wasn't out there grunting, groaning, the loud sound effects, and they weren't telegraphing things, which is a big part of the business today because everything is the way it's set up. People are telegraphing things, and it just doesn't look good. They're out there, and it looks like pro wrestling, and they're giving them time, and they're working holds, and that good little announce team over there, they're sticking to the task at hand. They're calling what's going on in a squared circle, and I really dig it.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting them to the test because they're out in Philly doing live shows, and they headlined. They main evented the Philly show with Charlotte and Sasha.
Yeah.
And to headline with women, especially in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not delivering, that's suicide.
Boy, I tell you what, I'm so impressed with those two girls and the other two girls. Becky Lynch and Bayley.
Yeah.
But man, that Charlotte, the way she walks around the ring, so composed. I mean, second generation. She really obviously gets a lot of it from her dad. But I mean, take Rick out of the equation. In and of it, herself. Just the way she carries herself, she commands your attention and your respect. And the same with Sasha Banks, that gimmick of hers, the thing about the boss, doing like a boss. I mean, she's just a package of charisma. And all four of those girls, I really like them. They can work their ass off.
Yeah.
And, man, to be on the main event, like you said, over in Philly, much less anywhere.
Yeah.
But the women getting a chance to main event, it's a pretty big-time deal.
Huge time deal, and everybody stuck around. Everybody loved the match. It was, it was great.
What do you think about the Finn Balor thing with all the body paint and the face paint and all this stuff? Because, man, I watched the guy, a lot of his stuff over in New Japan, watched stuff with the Bullet Club, guy who's been around the horn, who's paid his dues. Reminds me a little bit of Fit Finley. Have you ever watched Fit Finley's older stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a badass.
Yeah.
Anybody's trying to learn the business, I mean, that guy had such a mean streak when he's working heel. I mean, just everything he does has just his intent to hurt somebody. And just his ring generalship is awesome. So he reminds me a little bit of him. There's nothing that Finn Balor cannot do.
Yeah.
But the one pay-per-view that I saw, and I'm going back about 6 months ago, and I guess at this time, this is with NXT when they started doing the paint, and I know he'd been doing the paint for quite some time, he kept looking up into the sky, into the arena, so he could see the teeth on his throat.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this guy looking up at the friggin' lights? The guy's right across from him. He needs to look at him. You know, so he can show the people the damn teeth.
Right.
And I was like, thinking to myself, you got to let that, tell them to repaint the paint.
Yeah.
You don't need to have to work to make the paint work for you. The paint needs to work for you. You don't need to work for the paint. And then he was doing this spread arm thing, kind of like Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
I was talking about this on the last podcast. It's a repeat. I'm talking with not Sam on Twitter right now. But my point is, it's okay to have this paint on every here and there, or it's okay to have this gimmick character, whatever, but don't play the character. You're Finn Balor. You used to be Fergal Devitt, Prince Fergal, whatever the name used to be.
Especially since
a hell of a damn hand.
Yeah, and half the time on the show, you're not wearing the paint. You are still
right.
just...
I mean, here's the thing. He's a good-looking kid.
Uh-huh.
Great body, hell of a technician. Everything he does looks like $1 million. And you to me... Sam, believe it or not, I know a little bit about selling tickets. These things that you got to buy to get in to see the event, you've got to be able to.
They don't just let everybody in for free?
No, they don't, believe it or not. So you got to be able to identify with that crowd.
Yeah.
And some people, have you been watching Lucha Underground?
I haven't yet. Everybody's telling me that this is the show to watch.
Okay, now I tried to watch an episode of it a while back, and I was like, man, what in the flying hell is this? It just ain't working for me. But then they had a block of them on, about 4, and I didn't sit down. I'm always standing up in the kitchen over there, and I watched about 3 episodes back to back to back. And finally, because of the way they filmed that, I was able to just immerse myself in the experience, and it's kind of like a fantasy-type comic book, supernatural, superhero type setting, and the Spanish guy who's like the authority, Coelho, whatever his name is. First, I had heat with him because I just didn't dig his character.
Right.
Then he's an actor, basically. But then I started getting into what he was doing and seeing the vibe of the show. And they were presenting themselves as Lucha Underground. And that episode I'd seen a while back, there were so many American guys on the show that they weren't working Lucha. I wanted to see Lucha wrestling because you never get a chance to see it.
Right.
Unless I'm down in Mexico filming Redneck Island, I get AAA or EMLL or whatever.
But you want to
see
some
good stuff.
An American version of AAA.
Yeah, I want to see Lucha.
Right.
So anyway, these back-to-back episodes I saw, I bought into the storylines. I see what they're trying to do. And I like what they're doing. It's really a neat experience. So if you haven't got a chance to check it out, I mean, they did season 1. I guess you can go back and watch the old episodes. I hope they get season 2. First of all, I want anybody in the business of pro wrestling to have success so all the guys and girls can have a place to work.
Sure.
We just heard news that TNA got booted off Destination America. We're going to come back to this Colonel, as Sam would say it. But you got to check out the Lucha Underground stuff and just watch it for what it is. And I want to file a report with you, and we'll do your show or mine, and we'll do it over the phone. But we'll talk about it because I want you to check it out and give me your 411 on it.
I love it. Homework from the Stone Cold Podcast. That's the way it should be.
Josh Barnett, a former UFC heavyweight champion, was sitting right in the chair you were at just the other day. We were talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access TV.
Yeah.
It's on every Friday night now, season 2. He's doing the color along with Mauro Ranallo, who's awesome. So if you've got a chance to see that.
I haven't seen the Access TV show. I saw the pay-per-view that JR called.
That was the average pay-per-view. I don't think you can base the television experience on that. They actually, him, Mauro Ranallo, and Josh called the Wrestle Kingdom 8 match between Tanahashi and Nakamura. It was a badass match. It was better than the Wrestle Kingdom 9 match that JR called.
Wow.
But it's just a good show. I mean, it's hardcore pro wrestling. I love the production value.
Yeah.
And, obviously with the Americans doing the sound, you can understand what the guys are trying to do. And so that is another good show, which you got to check out.
I will.
Do you like the Japanese-style wrestling?
I do.
It's kind of evolved back a little bit. They call it strong style. Or Nakamura calls himself the king of strong style. It's not as stiff or strong style as it used to be. To me,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more watchable.
Yeah.
When guys in there clubbing themselves too hard, it takes away the art form for me. That being said, it's got to look right. And when I say look right, when you think Flair or think Bobby Eaton or Ricky Morton, some of those guys, I mean, the work was crisp and premier, and it just presented well from a pro-style standpoint.
I think it's always been about storytelling. Like that's always, for me, I need to feel like there's a story being told.
But you want those stories to be executed with some precision,
yes,
and not too much rigidity, but just or take another Shawn Michaels, take a breath of Hitman Hart. These guys, watch the way they work, and you don't have to model your work after those guys who are two of the best ever, but just with that impact and the tightness with which they worked.
Right. Yeah, I think it's. I don't need to believe that these two guys are locked in legitimate combat.
No,
I need to believe that there's a reason that I'm watching the story. The story just needs to be compelling to me. And I think you're right. I think when you're overly strong style, it's like, okay, we're just watching a bar fight now.
Right.
Like we're just watching two guys pound on each other, as opposed to what they're doing in Japan now. Like what Nakamura's doing it is strong style, but there's a story
He's
being
working.
told.
He's working.
Yeah, there's a reason
why
we're in the place that we're at, and there's not like, it feels more like pro wrestling, which is what I tuned in for.
Yeah, man, I jumped all over the place. But going back to Finn Balor, man, I want that guy it'll be interesting to see him get in that main roster. I've been real impressed with Neville.
Well, I was actually going to ask you before we move on completely from Finn Balor, because it didn't even occur to me that he's looking up at the ceiling instead of his opponent, and I think that's one of those things that is important. Because all those, like in radio, I see when people are doing little things that the audience may not notice each thing, but they add up into the bigger picture, and it's these little things, and that's why it's not working. What do you think's missing as far as psychology goes, and why is nobody saying, hey, Finn, this is what you need? Do you need more veterans in the locker room? Do you need...
No, I think he's doing exactly what they're telling him. I think...
you just think it's bad advice? For that one specific
I think
instance.
it's the higher-ups telling him what to do, in his presentation. But, man, like I said, I've seen the kid work over in New Japan. I know what he can do.
Yeah.
When he's just being a guy without any paint on, working in the ring. Mm-hmm. He's as good as there is out there right now in the game. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, man, if you're staring off into space, you're not connecting with me.
Right.
And those eyes are everything.
Yeah.
So that's important.
That's my theory.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Sam. When someone's not connecting, you think, well, why not? He looks cool. He's got a good body. He can work his ass off. What's not working here?
I may be reaching with this one, but I went on my podcast and I said that you're right, that you need to connect with the audience. And you connect with the audience through the eyes. And my theory is that one of the reasons why Roman Reigns cannot connect with the audience is those blue color contacts that are blocking his eyes. I'm watching him, and I'm seeing he's got color contacts in. He's got something over his eyes. I'm not connecting with this guy. I don't feel like it's the real guy talking to me. And I think there is something to that.
So you're not digging the contacts?
I'm not digging the contacts. I know that guy doesn't have blue eyes. I know there's now a shield between me.
No pun intended.
That's right. That's right. But there's something. Yeah, there's something between us now that I'm not getting the full dude.
Here's the thing, and this is I'm glad you brought that up, because the contact thing is he's a good-looking guy, physical guy, and a tough guy. Former football player at Georgia Tech, and I heard he was a pretty damn good player. So no one's going to question how tough this guy is and his lineage with who he's related to.
Right.
Tough guy. So then all of a sudden he's good-looking enough. You got to throw these contacts on him, so he got blue eyes now. What's the deal with that? You don't need blue eyes. I'm okay that he got brown eyes.
Right. You were blessed.
Yeah,
Stone
I got blue
Cold.
eyes. I'm like an albino, though. But the thing about Roman is, and a lot of people had heat with the fact that he got pushed so hard so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through the whole way that happened, because I've talked about it 20 times on the podcast. But I still stand by the fact that I think that no matter what they do with him, he's going to have to be a heel first, whether organically or what. He just by default. And they're trying to keep him baby.
Right.
Because I think Vince's goal is just he's going to work as a baby or he ain't going to work at all. And so he's going to flop bigger as a baby, and he gets cheered a lot of times when he goes out. But in there with the wrong, quote-unquote, wrong guy, who's going to out-baby him, like Orton did a couple weeks ago. Orton blew him out of water. And so it was uncomfortable. And Orton cut a better promo than he's ever cut in damn near his whole career. I liked him being more amped up. But just there's a way that guy talks, and it's a cockiness or confidence or self-assuredness that comes across as almost Lex Luger arrogance-ish.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Lex, and I'm certainly not crapping on Roman. I see money in the kid if he stays the course, if he continues to develop, if he continues to get better. But he's going to be hated before he's going to be universally loved and embraced by the audience. And when they do, it'll be big time for a long time.
And it's interesting that you say all that because, I mean, I'm a fan of Roman Reigns, but I think you're right. I think he needs to be a heel. I think he's not. Right now, he's not the main
He's got to
guy.
walk through the fire.
Yeah.
He's got to get
the
scarred.
fans want to boo him.
Yeah.
So give them a chance to boo him.
Get out of your system, and then let's have a monster baby run.
But he did my podcast right before the Rumble.
How was he?
I enjoyed him because he was very honest. I felt like I was getting the real Roman Reigns, but it was my most downloaded episode because the internet, their minds blown. It went crazy. It went everywhere. People were convinced. I was getting tweets from people that said, I think Vince sent Roman Reigns to Sam Roberts' podcast to turn him heel because people were so pissed that he went on the podcast and he was saying stuff like, he said, I don't care whether the fans boo me or cheer me. I'm the one who's getting rich at the end of the day, and I'm buying a house or something. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that was
I'd
what got
heard
out of
that
it.
comment.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the podcast, but I heard that comment. How did you take that as you were sitting there across the table from him listening?
Well, I took it as I was kind of happy that I'm getting a real moment with this real guy. I'm not getting a character. I'm not getting I always like honesty. And
Damn right.
And I'm of the mindset that it is a job, and when you're in the middle of it, there probably are feelings that you have probably had plenty of nights where you were thinking to yourself, I'm going to go out there and get my paycheck. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not the overall arcing thing in your career, but I'm sure, there were some moments, maybe when the fans weren't reacting to you the way you wanted them to, maybe when things weren't working out the way you wanted them to, where you were like, I'm going to go get my paycheck and then I'm going to go home. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that we kind of had that moment with Roman. The listeners didn't enjoy it.
Right.
They didn't like Roman.
Well, I mean, because the business is so out in the open now, and people are so privy to everything. Back in the day, before everybody got smartened up, it was you only judged or had a opinion on what you saw on the screen.
Right.
Now, with the internet and just the overall knowledge, I mean, they're watching. And then they're knowing all the backstage stuff that's going on, all the jockeying for position and all the politics, and that gets clouded in the way of a lot of just what they're presenting.
Yeah.
So the fact that people have so much knowledge, and therefore I just think they're even more strongly opinionated than they would be.
And it's interesting, too. I can't remember who I was talking to about it. It seems like it's the only show on TV where a huge portion of the audience, after the show, is talking about the writers and the agents, and they're not actually talking about the show. They're talking about the behind-the-scenes part.
And the heat's going to the writers instead of the guys doing what the writers are writing for them.
Right.
So the heat gets transferred, and so that the boys get the channel changing heat damn near because you're mad at them for having to do it, but the heat really goes to the writers.
Yeah.
And these guys are almost just playing the part, but it's almost like, I don't know, it's two-dimensional or even three-dimensional, but the only dimension that needs to be judged is what you're actually seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sitting here talking to Not Sam on Twitter. He's got a radio show in the Big Apple. Sam, tell him about the radio show. You should go to 5 days a week, big shot.
That's right. It's called Sam Roberts Show. It's on Sirius XM. Opie Radio is the channel, XM 103, Sirius 206. It's not wrestling-centric, but there is nothing I do is without some element of pro wrestling in it.
Right.
But it's a ridiculous show. It's a fun show. It's probably going to have a few more dirty words in it than this show has. But it's something. I think it's going to be a big deal.
Boy, Sam and I go family friendly. When I go family friendly, I tell you what. I mean, Katie, bar the door. We're going family friendly. Sam, I'm going to make a statement here, and. You see the courtyard out here, which is actually my front yard.
Beautiful.
Seeing the garden.
Yeah.
You're looking through this window.
Yeah.
As they said, and I'm going to get you, sucker. Did you ever see that movie?
I did.
You can take the window or you can take the stairs. I would advise you to take the stairs because I don't want to replace this window, and you're going to get all cut up. Sam, it's good talking to you. For Not Sam, I'm Steve Austin, BSR, and we are out.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Dive into true crime on Pluto TV. Unravel the mysteries with Forensic Files and 48 Hours. Investigate crimes with Dateline 24/7 and Unsolved Mysteries. With thousands of free crime movies and TV shows, Pluto TV is the true home of crime. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming true crime on live channels and on demand. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
What's up, guys? I'm Brendan Schaub. If you love everything mixed martial arts, I'm talking UFC breakdowns, UFC picks, one championship picks, Bellator, PFL, you name it, your boy breaks it all down. Tune into The Schaub Show, available every Monday wherever you listen to your podcasts. The Schaub Show. Enjoy.